I'm here on an island made of sand, which every year moves northwest as the wind blows, where people play an instrument called a didgeridoo, and kookaburras sit in an old gum tree. It's a place to adventure, Australian style.
I'm headed to the islands off Australia's east coast, located in the Tasman Sea. I've heard they're great for diving and nature trekking. I'll start my journey on mainland Australia in Rockhampton, where I'll catch the ferry to Great Keppel Island for some scuba diving. Then I'll fly south to Moreton Island, where I'll spend most of my time, first at the settlement of Tangalooma, followed by a visit to the Blue Lagoon, and finally to a place they call the desert. My trip gets off to a rather gray start as I board the ferry in Rockhampton to Great Keppel Island. According to the weather reports, a cyclone is heading down the coast toward us. The weather is already a bit rough. Still, the optimists among us climb aboard. So we set off in high winds and under dark skies.
Weather.
I'm kind of tired of it. The cyclone can stop any day now.
Oh, gosh. Well, I guess you can still dive on the Great Barrier Reef if you've got this weather. Once you get below, hopefully.
Yeah. I think so.
It shouldn't.
I hope so.
It shouldn't slow us down. Where are you all traveling from?
Colorado, United States.
All right. For how long?
11 days.
11 days?
Yeah, that's a cyclone trip.
You're going to track it.
It turns out the cyclone is closer than any of us thought. I barely glimpsed Great Keppel Island before we steer back to the mainland. Looks like I'll be heading to Moreton Island earlier than planned. Sunshine, here I come. 21 miles long, 6 miles wide, and jam-packed with sun-drenched shoreline. That's Moreton Island. It's predominantly a resort island. Only 200 people actually live here. The main draw for travelers is the wildlife and natural beauty. 96% of the island is designated national park, and this is the place to see the highest sand mountain in the world. But the best thing about Moreton Island, it's 250 miles south of that cyclone blowing through Great Keppel Island. I'm hoping for a real laid-back adventure. My base on Moreton Island will be the Tangalooma settlement. I'll do a little scuba diving and nature watching there before heading north to the Blue Lagoon. Finally, I'll head just south of Tangalooma to an area known as the desert. This is real no-frills travel. The airstrip is just a little bit of dirt track, fenced in to keep out the pigs and horses.
Well, your limousines here, Hunter.
Hey, all right.
Stretch limo.
So we're off to Tangalooma. Tangalooma is the most popular place to stay on the island. On the 10-minute ride from the airstrip, we pass along the water's edge. I'm glad to see blue water meeting blue sky, not a rain cloud in sight.
Hey, Alice, here we are. Welcome ashore.
Moreton Island is best known for two things: desert and shipwrecks. There are plenty of the latter at the northern edge of Tangalooma. I decide to jump right in. Kevin is chief instructor and dive master at Tangalooma. He's lived here 3.5 years and shows no sign of leaving.
You need someone to push you off?
Yeah, please.
The Australians have a reputation for being very hardy. I can't let Kevin show me up.
Need a hand? I think so.
So after a bit of muscle, we head 15 minutes north to one of the most popular dive sites on the coast. Since the late 18th century, when the European explorers first came upon Moreton Island, dozens of ships sailing through these waters have sunk due to rough currents and rough weather. This is a real ship's graveyard. Today, these wrecks form part of an artificial reef that draws all sorts of marine life.
You end up getting a lot of wildlife, marine life?
Yeah, over the last 30 years, a lot of wildlife has come to the wrecks,
Yeah.
especially coral, a lot of beautiful, pretty fish,
Yeah.
and oysters, which are quite nice to eat.
You would think, you know, an old cruddy wreck and oysters probably don't mix well together, but actually,
Yeah, it's a good combination.
it's a good combination.
Many of the wrecks in these waters are about 100 years old. The names are pretty whimsical: seal, platypus, and my favorite, stingaroo. The reefs here are shallow and treacherous, as you can see. As recently as 1984, a ship was sunk in these waters. Down here, you weave through a virtual maze of coral that has latched onto the wreckage. Having a guide like Kevin along makes great sense, since it's easy to lose your way in this twist of metal. There's a huge range of marine life down here. Over 300 species of fish can be found around the coral reef formed by the shipwrecks. Break open a clamshell, and you're sure to gain some instant underwater pals. The waters here are teeming with hardyhead and butterbrake fish. They apparently have healthy appetites. As dusk falls, I look forward to my next adventure, meeting some of the island's late-night marine life. On Moreton Island, wildlife is a big draw, day and night. Like most people at Tangalooma, I can't resist a chance to feed some of the friendliest creatures around, the dolphins. Over 400 bottlenose dolphins reside in the Moreton Bay area. Tangalooma has a program that studies dolphin behavior. Since 1982, the Dolphin Care Program has made it possible to hand feed the dolphins. There are 8 bottlenose regulars who come here to feed. Some people might consider feeding the dolphins as interfering with the wildlife. But researchers make sure that the resort snacks only account for 20% of the dolphins' intake of food. That way they don't become dependent on humans. As I feed the dolphins, I discover a surprising tidbit of information. Apparently, these guys are picky eaters. Crabs and prawns are out. They prefer high-fat fishes like mullet and herring. Luckily, there's plenty of that around. Protecting the marine life hasn't always been a top priority on Moreton Island. After World War II, the demand for whale oil jump-started the whaling industry. Tangalooma was even the site of a whaling station. It stayed open for 10 years, harvesting the humpback whale population that migrated up the east coast of Australia. In 1964, the whaling station was closed, but not before some major damage was done. The humpback population went from 10,000 to about 200. Today, the marine life around Moreton Island is much more respected and protected. Early the next morning, I take a stroll along the beach at Tangalooma. Tangalooma is the Aboriginal word for the meeting place of the fish. Moreton Island was once connected to the Australian mainland before it broke off 130,000 years ago. Captain Cook and his crew were the first Europeans to report on Moreton Island around 1770. At that point, the island had long been inhabited by the Aboriginal people. They lived in large huts along the beaches and harvested fish and turtle. In 1823, the Europeans moved in, and within 10 years, they decimated the native population. All that remains of the Aboriginal culture are a few archaeological remnants and some names like Tangalooma, meeting place of the fish. As I discover, it's also a meeting place of the birds. 126 species of birds can be found on Moreton Island, including the noisy kookaburra. I've heard that during the early morning hours, the birds often congregate on the beach. So I head down to the shoreline where I'm greeted by some healthy-looking pelicans. Local researchers here have been feeding pelicans as part of an organized program for the past year and a half. Come August and September, you might find as many as 80 pelicans a day on the beach.
As soon as I go over there, they'll know that I'm going to throw a few fish on the beach, which is easy takings for them, and they'll shoot across. But the trick is to try and keep the fish going down here, and that'll keep them interested, and they might not even see me.
The pelicans aren't too shy around humans, as long as you're stocked up with plenty of herring and mullet. The pelicans are allowed about 10 fish each.
Oh, good shot. What do you think? See that one? No more.
I've pretty much seen Tangalooma top to bottom, so tomorrow I head out to see another part of the island, known as the desert. Moreton Island has plenty of sea and sand, but what it hasn't got is any paved roads. So the best way to get around is four-wheel drive. Today I'm headed to the Blue Lagoon.
Have you been to the Blue Lagoon before?
No, this is my first time.
Okay, great.
You?
My companions on the journey are Pete and Christine.
What about you?
Yeah, I've been to the lagoon many times. Me and my friends grew up over here and we've been driving around the island for a lot of years. I think I'll be able to show you around for the day.
Yeah, we need someone that knows where they're going.
Yeah.
We travel northeast past some of the island's more rugged forest land. Along the way, I discover that Christine has only been here for 4 months. And like my dive master, Kevin, she also shows no signs of leaving.
I never think about time here except when I'm working. It's like time, date, and the day is just nothing to me, you know. It's nice, you know, time goes so quickly though, but you really enjoy it a lot. It's good.
The ride to the Blue Lagoon takes us along the east coast.
All right, here we are, Blue Lagoon. Blue Esky.
We're not quite there yet. And guess what? Storm clouds are gathering overhead.
Yeah, give it some more. Since I've been here, so it'll look quite a lot different since the last time.
The Blue Lagoon is one of the largest freshwater lakes on the island. The perfect place for a lakeside picnic. No mullet or herring for us, just good old-fashioned cold cuts. After lunch and a quick swim, we head to the area known as the desert. To get there, we wind our way through some of the island's most distinctive flora, like the foxtail fern. Finally, the desert. No one knows how the desert here originated, and they don't know why this area doesn't have any plant life. Some people believe that fire destroyed the vegetation and it never grew back. One thing you do find around here, a lot of atmosphere. Moreton Island is made from mineral sands, almost 500,000 years old. If it weren't for these huge sandhills, the largest in the world, the island would probably have eroded away by now. They serve as a breaker against the pounding of the surf and wind. As night falls, the desert turns eerie. We run into some island regulars camping out.
Our visitors welcome.
Yeah, sure.
You need a hand?
Love one. Thank you.
You know, put these logs in?
These logs? Actually, we play those logs.
You play these?
Yeah.
What are they?
Didgeridoos.
The didgeridoo is a traditional instrument of the Aborigines. So my didgeridoo skills aren't much, but I'm more than happy to sit back and let the experts take over.
Show us how it's done. But normally with the Aborigines just play on and on and on, you kind of get into
There's an actual dance to it as well.
Yeah, it's more of a story about sort of creation, about animals and
Stories and how they live.
yeah, and just saying thanks for providing things for the animals that they eat.
Do you know a rain song to stop the rain? curse of us. The curse of us. I think it's enough. Enough. To shelter.
I can't believe it. Rain. I guess it was only a matter of time before that cyclone made it this far south to Moreton Island. At least this time, the rain is here at the end of what has been a truly laid-back adventure, Australian style.
Travel for exotic islands provided by Qantas Airlines.